Hi guys, Miss Berg again. I am going to be talking about 7-9 right now. So that is the very next lesson that we will be doing. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be flipping this around. Real quick, I am going to go over again how you change a mixed number to improper fractions. You're going to need that again today. So again, when it comes to like, say, for example, 2 and 1/3, um, when you do this, and again, this never changes, this works for any mixed number. You just times your denominator by your whole number, whatever those two numbers may be, and then you just add the numerator after that. So in this case, you would do um, 3 times 2 and then plus your numerator. So in this case, 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is equal to 7. So then that would be 7 over, and then your denominator stays the same. So it's going to be 7/3. So that is how you do that, and you're going to be needing that, especially for today. All right, so now it says you're just going to learn how to multiply mixed numbers. So 1/3 of 1 1/4 acre park has been reserved as a dog park. Find the number of acres that are reserved for the dog park. So what they want you to do is to find what 1/3 of the 1 1/4 park is. So is the area of the dog park going to be less than or greater than the area of the 1 1/4 park? So when you multiply these, what is it going to be compared to the 1 1/4 park? Is the answer going to be more than more than 1 1/4 of the park? Is it going to be less than 1 1/4 of the park? Well, in order to figure that out, you would have to look at the other fraction. And this fraction is saying it's 1/3, which is definitely less than 1 whole. So therefore, if I'm going to be multiplying something that is less than 1 um, by 1 1/4, my answer should come out to be less than 1 1/4. So therefore, the area of this dog park should definitely be less than 1 1/4 of that park, because the park is only 1 1/4. So you can't gain more land off of that as well. So now they want you to use a model to show this. Well, remember, this is your rows versus columns. So in this case, it's really hard to see it that way. So what I'm going to do is change this to a mixed number, so it's a lot easier to see this. So if you want to do that, you can do it. You can also look at it this way, but I'm just going to show you, if you did change it to a mixed number, what does it come out to be? So you could say 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5/4. So therefore, it's saying 5/4 need to be shaded. Or some people can just look at that and see, oh, that is 1 whole. So this is 1 whole. And 1 out of the 4. You could look at it that way. Or some people just like to look at it as 5/4. So that means 1, 2, 3, 4/4, but you need a fifth one. So that is just another way of saying it's still the same thing. So that's why 5/4 and 1 1/4 are the exact same thing. So that is what the park is. The park is the yellow. Now, they said that 1/3 of this was going to be reserved for the dog park. So now, remember, this is your rows. So how many rows should I end up having? I should have 3 rows. So 3 rows of the entire dog park. So that is just one. Now remember over here, we still need to cut that because that was part of the dog park as well. And then we're only going to be shading in how many of those 3 rows? You are only going to be shading in 1 of the 3 rows. So, therefore, I'm going to be shading that row. But then over here, is this also part of that? And it sure is. So you also have to shade that part as well. Now, the answer to this is, remember, the things that are overlapping with both colors. So now we're going to be seeing how many have both colors out of one whole. So in this case, if I did 1/3 times, when I redid that, it was 5/4. So now let's go ahead and see. It is, this one has both, this one, this one, this one, and this one. So therefore, there's actually 5 out of how much make up one whole part of this. So now you got to count up how much make up just one whole. So this is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So therefore, your answer should come out to be 5/12, and that's what the model is showing. 5 out of the 12 are overlapping. So now they're saying that you could also rename the mixed number as a fraction. So if you like drawing models, that is what you would have to do. However, you could also just simply multiply across. But the only thing is, since this is a mixed number, remember, it is so much easier just to change this to an improper fraction before you multiply. So this one is okay. So 1/3, there was nothing wrong with that. However, we should change this to an improper fraction, just totally easier than doing anything else. So that is why I'm going to change it to improper fraction. Again, you're going to times and plus. So then 4 times 1 is 4 plus 1 is 5 over what is your denominator still stays the same, which is a 4. So now you can just simply go across. 5 times 1 is 5 over 3 times 4 is 12. So therefore, it still gave us our same answer here. It's just another way of saying it. Oh, so then the next problem over here says to multiply 12 times 2 and 1/6, and then write the product in simplest form. Again, that is definitely something, if you want to, you don't have to write it in simplest form. But it says first, determine how the product will compare to the greater factor. So in this case, they're looking at 12. So then if I am timesing 12 by 2 and 1/6, should my answer be greater than 12, less than 12, or equal to 12? Well, you should definitely be saying that it is greater than 12. Why should the answer to this be greater than 12? Because you're multiplying by something that is larger than one whole. So anything times one whole is going to make this number larger. So now they want us to actually solve this. The thing is, this is not in a mixed number a fraction format. So how could I still say 12 and still have it be a fraction form? Well, you could just simply do put a 1 under it, and then that is definitely going to make this still say 12, but in fraction format. Now here is the next one, and now I got to just change this so that it's an improper format. That would be your best easiest thing when it comes to mixed numbers. It's just something that you guys just have to know, that when you are multiplying by mixed numbers, the fastest and easiest way is just change them to improper fractions. And unfortunately, that's just another rule you're just going to have to know. So that is just what you're going to have to do. So whenever you're multiplying by mixed numbers, the fastest and easiest way is to change these to improper fractions. So I'm going to be changing this one to an improper fraction. So again, my denominator stays the same, so it's still 6. Now I'm just going to find out what the number is. So 6 times 2 is 12, plus 1 is 13. So now I have this as a problem. Now, this is where it gets pretty tricky because, like I said, you're going to start getting these big numbers when you are just going to be multiplying across sometimes. And that is why I showed you cross-canceling method, because that will drop the numbers by a whole lot. So is there something that can be cross-canceled here? One can go into 13, but it's still going to be 13. So these numbers are not going to change. But going the other way, can a 6 go into 12 evenly? And this is where, yes, it can. So 6 is going to become a 1 because it's going to go in evenly. So 6 goes into 12 2 times. So now it is so much easier to do 2 times 13. So now over here, I'm going to do 2 times 13. 3 times 2 is 6, 2 times 1 is 2. So therefore my answer is 26 over the bottom is 1. So how many ones go into 26? That would be 26, and that is your answer. Okay, next. It says now multiply 16 times 4 and 1/8 and write the product in simplest form. Again, same exact thing. Now they're going to be showing you using distributive property. If you did not want to change this to an improper fraction, this is the only other way that you could do this. You would literally have to separate this. 4 and 1/8 is also known as 4 wholes plus 1/8. And then they're saying use the distributive property, which is just going and doing 16 times 4. Then once you figure out that problem, then you would add 16 times, has to go to the 1/8 now. So now you have to go and multiply these correctly. So if you did this one, 8 can go into 16 2 times. So that would be 2 over 1, which is why they have a 2 right here. That becomes 2 wholes. Then 16 times 4, I'm going to do that over here. 4 times 6 is 24, carry your 2. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6. So therefore that would be 64 plus 2, which then you would have to add this, and then that would be 66. Now, look at all that work that was done just to answer one question. Now, you could have also have done the same thing, but used mixed numbers. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to change these mixed numbers to improper format and see if it's any easier for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 16. I'm going to change it into a fraction format, which is 16 over 1. Then I'm going to take this and change it to an improper fraction. Again, my denominator stays the same. So 8 times 4 is 32, plus 1 is 33. And then now I'm going to times. The only thing with this way is you're going to get some huge numbers, like I originally said at the beginning of this chapter. Eventually, you're going to get some big numbers when you're just multiplying across, which is exactly what you're seeing. So that's why I showed the cross canceling, to just save some time for you. So 1 can go into 33, but it's still only going to be 33. So those numbers don't change. But can an 8 go evenly into 16? It sure can. This will cancel to a 1. And then this one, 8 will go into 16 twice. So now you can just go across. 2 times 33 would be 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 2 is 6. So your answer is 66 over 1, which is still 66. So look at how much work I did using changing the mixed numbers to improper fractions versus using the distributive property. It is up to you whether you want to use this way or not. I'm just telling you, you're going to have a lot more work to do if you choose to do this way, but that is really up to you. If you like this way, then use it. If not, I want you to use this way. But either way, I need to see that work. A lot of you are still turning in some things with no work shown, and it's getting turned right back into you. I'm not grading it because I need to see this work. There's no way that you guys just did this and got 66. I want to see the work behind it, so I can follow what you're doing. So make sure you are doing that. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to talk about, and I don't know if I went in and talked about this in the other uh, videos that I had shown. I'm getting a lot of kids that aren't remembering their facts very well. And like, for example, like 6 times 4 here, a lot of kids don't even know where to start. If you don't know what 6 times 4 is, what I tell my students to do is just do repeated addition. So you guys can learn those facts and you guys can get the right answer. So the repeated addition for 6 times 4, I tell them to take the larger one, which is the 6 in this case, and write it 4 times. So I'm going to write 6 4 times. Also, you could do the other opposite way. You could have wrote 4 6 times. Doesn't matter either way, but I always just like to do less work, so I always go for my bigger one and do that. Then you're going to add this. This is called repeated addition, to find out what this answer is, because say I don't know how to do that on the state test. Well, guys, if you don't know how to do this on the state test, I want you to know another strategy to go about finding it, because we can't help you on the state test if you don't know a multiplication problem. And I don't want you sitting there staring at a problem like this and have no idea what to do. So if you don't know what this is, then do repeated addition. So I'm going to do, I wrote 6 4 times. Now I'm going to add these. What is 6 plus 6 is 12. What is 6 plus 6? It is 12 again. So then when you add this, you can come over here. 12 plus 12 is 2 plus 2 is 4. 1 plus 1 is 2. So therefore, the answer to this is 24. And that is how we had a 4 down and we carried our plus 2 to the next side. So guys, like I said, if you don't know that fact, don't get caught up on that. Write it out in repeated addition to solve for that answer. All right, so down here it says when you multiply two factors greater than one whole, is the product going to be less than, between, or greater than those two factors? So I'm going to put down a problem here. I'm going to say 8 times 8.5. They're both greater than 1. So what is going to happen when I actually go ahead and multiply this? Will it be less than, between, or greater than the both factors? So now let's look here. If I look at 8.5 and I times it by 8, will my answer be bigger than 8.5 or less than 8.5 or equal to 8.5? Well, you should be saying greater than, because I just multiplied by a number that is larger than one whole. So then doing the opposite. Now I'm going to look at this one. If I'm going to have 8 and I'm going to times it by 8.5, is my answer going to come out to be bigger than 8, less than 8, or equal to 8? Again, it should be greater than 8 because, again, you are multiplying by something that is larger than 1 whole. So therefore, the answer to this should be greater than both factors because both factors are greater than 1 whole. All right, now moving on up here. It says just find the product. Again, you can put it in simplest form or you don't have to. That is truly up to you. So like I said, when it comes to multiplying mixed numbers, what should be the thing that you do to those? You should remember, I'm going to put that up here, change mixed numbers to improper fractions. It's just going to be less work for you. All right, so I'm going to change this to improper fractions. Again, you see how both a 3 and a 5 are over here because remember the denominators do not change. The only thing that is going to change is that numerator. So in this case, you go 3 times 1, which is 3, plus 2, which is 5, over the 3. Then here, 5 times 3 is 15, plus 4 is 19. So it's going to be 19 over 5. Now, here is your problem. The thing is, you're going to get some big numbers again. So my advice to you, I mean, you don't have to listen to my advice. You can definitely just multiply across, just to know that these are going to be some big numbers. So you'll have to go ahead and multiply each one of these out and then divide. So you could do that way, that's fine. But you could also look for cross canceling. So in this case, can a 3 go evenly into 19? No, it cannot. But can a 5 go into 5? Yes, it can. 5 can go into 5. Let's see, 5 into 5. That would be 1 whole. So if I was making that into a fraction, that means everything is going to be changing to ones. They cancel each other out to ones. So now we can just go ahead and multiply across. 19 times 1 is 19 over 3 times 1, which is 3. Now, can I have that as an answer? I cannot. So now I'm going to divide that. How many 3's go into 19? You could say 6. 6 times 3 is 18. Subtract, that would be 1 remaining. So my mixed number from this would be it goes in 6 whole times. And then my fraction part is 1 over 3. So my answer is 6 1/3. Okay, next, what do I need to do? Again, I need to change any mixed numbers to improper fractions to make this easier on myself. So that is exactly what I'm going to do. Before I change it, I'm going to change my denominators. Just bring my denominators on down because I already know that they are not going to change. The only thing that's going to change is my numerators. So time and plus, times and plus. So 8 times 1 is 8, plus 1 is 9. Then here, 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Okay, so now I can see if I can cross cancel anything. Can a 7 go into 8 evenly? No, it cannot. But can a 3 go into 9 evenly? And that is a yes, it can. So 3 can go in evenly. So that's why I'm bringing it to a 1 into 9 3 times. So now just go across. 3 times 7 is 21. over 8 times 1 is 8. So can I have that as an answer? No, I cannot. So how many 8s go into 21? Would be 2. 2 times 8 is 16. Subtract, can I have 1 and take away 6? No, I cannot. So 11 minus 6 is 5. So my answer is 2 and 2 wholes. That's why there's a big 2. And then my fraction part is 5 over 8. And that is my answer. Okay, now next. Same thing here. If there's any mixed numbers, change them to improper fractions. Well, in this case, this one is not, and this one is not an mixed number, so I'm just going to bring it down. This one is, though. So 6 times 6 is 36, plus 5 is 41. So that would be 41 over what is on the bottom, which is just 6. Oh my goodness. So now we look for cross canceling. Can a 4 go into 41 evenly? No, it cannot. But can 3 go into 6 evenly? Yes, it can. So 3 can go into 6 2 times. Remember, it follows the bigger number. Don't have it follow the little number. And then that turns into a 1 now. Now you're just going to simply go across. 1 times 41 is 41 over 4 times 2, which is 8. So now you're going to divide this out. How many 8s go into 41? That would be 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40 with 1 remaining. So therefore, my mixed number is 5 and 1 over 8. So my answer is 5 and 1/8. And that is the answer to that one. Okay, so I'm going to do just a couple more. Now, this one says to use the distributive property. I am not going to force you to use the distributive property. Now, if you would like to, you may definitely do that. Again, you would have to do it like this. However, just solve it so that you're getting the right answer. So if you are doing it, just changing them to improper fractions, that would personally be my advice to you, is to just change them to improper fractions. But if you want to try using the distributive property, that is completely up to you. So you pick the way that you would like to use. I am just going to simply use changing them to improper fractions. So 16 is not in fraction form. So how can I still put it in fraction form and say 16? It would be 16 over 1. But here, I would have to change this to improper fraction. So that would be 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5 over, keep your denominator, which is 2. So now, is there anything that could be cross canceled? A 1 can go into 5, but it's still going to be a 5. But can a 2 go into 16 evenly? It sure can. 2 can go into 16 8 times. So now I'm just going to go ahead and go straight across. 8 times 5 is 40 over 1. And how many 1s go into 40? Would be 40. So that is your answer. Next, you can still do the same thing. I'm just going to use my way. If you want to use the distributive property and you did it the right, you should be getting 40 as well. If you are not getting 40 and you're using the distributive property, my advice to you is simply just use changing the mixed numbers to improper fractions. So in this case, this is a mixed number. I'm going to change it to an improper fraction. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 4 is 9 over 5. Times, what would I do to 15 to make it into fraction form? Well, it would be 15 over 1. Now, can anything cross cancel? 1 can go into 9 evenly, but it's going to be 9. So nothing's changing there. Can a 5 go into 15 evenly? It sure can. 5 can go into 15 3 times. Now I'm just going to go ahead and multiply across. 9 times 3 is 27 over 1, which comes out to be 27. So now what I want you to do is try 6 through 9 on your own. So please pause the video and try this one on your own. Again, that would be 6 through 9. Okay, so if you did do 6 through 9 on your own, this is what you should have came out to have. You would have had 1 1/9 as this answer, because you would have changed this to 3 over 2. This one, you would have changed these. That would have been 22 over 5. And then this one would be 3 over 2. And you could have cross canceled. 2 can go into 22 11 times. So then it would have been 33 over 5, which if you divided that out, comes out to be 6 3/5. Here, if you change this to an improper fraction, it would have been 16 thirds times 3/4, and the 3's would have cross canceled. Also, some people could see that 4 can go into 16 evenly. So you could have done it that way as well. 4 goes into 16 evenly and becomes 4 times. Or you could just multiply across and you're still going to get your 4. Next, you could have changed this. This would have been 5 over 2 times 6 over 5. The 5's would have cross canceled to 1's. And then the 2 can go into 6 3 times, and then this one would have been 1. So your answer would have just have been 3. Or if you did choose to just go across, you would have had 30 over 10. And how many 10's go into 30 is still 3. So you're still going to get the same exact answer. So that is what you do there. Okay, so I am going to go on to the next question. Now, again, if you want to stop this and if you think you can do this on your own, you can always stop my recordings at any time and try ones that you want to try on your own if you think you understand it. So if you want to do that for this problem, you may certainly do so as well. So here is that problem. April worked 1.5 times as long on her math project as did Carl. Debbie worked 1 1/10 times as long as Sonia. Richard worked 1 3/8 times as long as Tony. Match each student's name to the number of hours he or she worked on a math project. So I'm going to say A for April. A for April. April worked 1.5 times as much as Carl. So now we have to go ahead and look at what Carl did. So Carl was 5 1/4. Then, again, if I wanted to solve this, I would change them to improper fractions. So times and plus, that would be 3 over 2 times 20 plus 1 is 21 over 4. So this is where you look for any cross canceling. There is no cross canceling options because 2 does not go evenly into 21 and 3 does not go into 4 evenly. So in this case, you're actually going to have to just multiply across. So 21 times 3 is 63 over 2 times 4 is 8. So how many 8's go into 63? 8 goes into 63, 7, it looks like it's the best. That's 56. So can I have 3 and take away 6? No, I cannot. So now 13 minus 6 is 7. So my answer to this would be 7 wholes and 7 eighths, 7 over 8. So which one is showing that? It is right here. So April is 7 7/8. Next, Debbie is, so I'm going to say D for Debbie, is 1 1/4 times as long as Sonia. So Sonia, if you look over here, 6.5. So again, you can go ahead and change these to improper fractions. So 4 times 1 plus 1 is 5/4 times 6 times 2 is 12, plus 1 is 13/2. And can anything cross cancel? Can a 4 go into 13? Can a 2 go into 5? It cannot. So therefore, you would just have to multiply across. Uh, 13 times 5, 5 times 3 is 15, carry your 1. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 1 is, 5 plus 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. So this would be 65 over 4 times 2 is 8. And again, we need to go ahead and divide that out. 8 can go into 65 8 times, because that would be 64 with 1 remaining. So my mixed number here would be 8 and 1/8. 8 and 1/8. So the thing that is showing that is right here. So then Richard is definitely going to be that last number. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the next part. It says you can make a lot of recipes more healthy by reducing the amounts of fats, sugar, and salt. Kelly makes a muffin recipe that calls for 1 1/2 cups of sugar. She wants to use half of that amount of sugar. How much sugar should she use? So you're going to find out what half of 1 1/2 cups is. So again, what you should do is you should change any mixed numbers to improper fractions. So times and plus. So 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. Then you can check and see if anything can cross cancel. In this case, nothing can. So then you just simply go across. What is 1 times 3? Is 3 is our numerator. Our denominator is 2 times 2, which is 4. So therefore, my answer is 3/4 of a cup of sugar. And this should definitely be smaller because remember, I'm finding half of this. So this is less than a whole. So therefore, my answer should come out to be less than 1 1/2 cups. And it is. So therefore, I am on the right path for that. Next, it says Tony's recipe for soup calls for 1 1/4 teaspoons of salt. He wants to use a half that amount. So how much salt will be used? Describe how you find your answer. All right, so therefore, again, he is going to use a half of that amount. Well, the amount is 1 1/4. So again, how do I do this? Well, you should be changing any mixed numbers to improper fractions. So that would still be a 4, then times and plus, that would be 4 plus 1 is 5, and then times by a half. Okay, then see if there's any cross canceling that could happen. And then that would be 5/8, 5/8 of a teaspoon. All right, next. Jeffrey's recipe for oatmeal muffins calls for 2 1/4 cups of oatmeal and makes 1 dozen muffins with 2 1/4 cups of oatmeal. If he makes 1 1/2 dozen muffins for a club meeting and 2 dozen muffins for a family reunion, how much oatmeal will he use? All right, so in this case, um, he is going to be making muffins, not just for the club meeting, but he's also going to be doing it for the reunion. So in this case, you have to figure out what how much he's going to use when you add all of these up. So remember, one recipe calls for 2 1/4 cups for just 1 dozen. So 2 1/4, sorry, 2 1/4 times by, what is he going to make for the club? He's going to make 1.5 cups. Sorry, 1.5 dozen. So you need to figure out what this is. And then for the reunion, he is going to do 2 dozen. So in order to solve that, you do 2 1/4 times 2. So now again, you should be changing these to improper fractions. So I'm going to do that over here. This one would be 8 plus 1 is 9/4. And then this one would be 2 plus 1 is 3/2. And can I cross cancel anything? I cannot, so I'm just going to go across here. This one would be 27/8. And can I have that as an answer? I cannot, so I'm going to change that. How many 8s can go into 27? That is 3. So that is 24 and 3 remaining. So my mixed number out of this would be a big 3 and then 3 8s. So this is how much it was. How much is needed for the club? 3 3/8 is for the club. Now we got to figure out what the reunions muffins need. So this one would be needing to be a fraction by putting a 1 under it. Here I would times a plus. So then this would be 8 plus 1 is 9/4. And then can anything cross cancel? And yes, it can. 2 can go into 4 twice, which this would cancel out to be a 1. So then 9 times 1 is 9/2 times 1 is 2. And can I have that as an answer? I cannot, so I got to change this. So 2 can go into 9 4 times. 4 times 2 is 8 with 1 remaining. So therefore my mixed number here is 4 1/2. So then this one is 4 1/2. But now, in order to solve how much he needs for all of it, you need to add these fractions together. So that is what I'm going to be doing up here. So I have some space. So 4 1/2 plus 3 3/8. First of all, can I multiply these? Can I add these fractions together? You should be saying no because the denominators are not the same. So can I get a 2 to an 8? And yes, I can. So I'm going to times it by 4 to get it to 8s. So this one would be 4 4/8 plus 3 3/8. All right, so then 7/8 plus 3/8 is 7/8. And then 4 plus 3 is 7. So then your answer is 7 7/8 cups. All right, next. Kara's muffin recipe calls for 1.5 cups of flour for the muffins and 1/4 of a cup of flour for the topping. If she makes half of the original recipe, how much flour will she use? So again, for the muffin itself, they need this many cups. And for the topping, it's going to need this much flour. So they want to know what is the half of the original recipe. So remember the original recipe was 1 1/2 for the muffin itself. And then that was not it. You also have 1/4 for the topping. Then once you find out that, then you're going to do a half of that. So we got to figure out what this comes out to be. So I'm running out of room. I have lots of things to write. So 1.5 plus 1/4. First of all, can I add these fractions? You should be saying no because the denominators are not the same. So can I get a 2 to a 4? I sure can. So I'm going to times this by 2 and this by 2. So that is really 2/4, 1 2/4 plus 1/4. So 2/4 plus 1/4 is 3/4, and then 1 3/4. So this comes out to be 1 3/4. Now we got to figure out what half of 1 3/4 is. Again, you need to change any fractions into mixed numbers. So that is what I'm going to be doing here. Times and plus, so 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7/4. And then you can just simply check and see if anything can cross cancel. In this case, it is a no, so then you just go across. That would be 7 times 1 is 7 over 2 times 4 is 8. So that is 7/8 of a cup. Okay. So here is your homework. Your homework is make sure you change mixed numbers to improper fractions first. All right, so again, you can write it in simplest form. It does not matter if it is or is not. All right, so in this case, I'm going to do number 2 with you. Again, my advice to you is to change these to improper fractions. Again, when you're changing them to improper fractions, your denominators stay the same. So times and plus. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 1 is 8. Then over here, 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7. So then you can check and see if anything can be cross-canceled. Well, 4 can go into 8 evenly twice, and then this would cancel out to be a 1. Then 7 can go into 7 evenly, so these can cross-cancel each other out and become 1s as well. So then when you do go across, 2 times 1 is 2 over 1 times 1 is 1. So how many 1s go into 2? That would be 2. And then, of course, you could have also just gone across. 8 times 7 is 56 over 7 times 4 is 28. So 56 over 28, and then you can divide it that way to figure out the answer as well. So you will have 3 and 4 for homework. I'm going to go on to number 5. Again, my advice to you, change them to improper fractions. So I'm going to bring my denominator down. Now I can just worry about my numerators here. So 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11/2. Then this one is 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. And then can anything cross cancel? Yes, a 2 can go into 10 5 times. This becomes a 1. So then this one would be 55/3. And can I have that as an answer? I cannot. So now I'm going to divide. Can a 3 go into 5 one time? 1 times 3 is 3. Subtracted, that'd be a 2. Check it. We are good. Bring down a 5. How many 3s go into 25? That would be 8 and 24 with 1 remaining. So therefore, my mixed number here would be 18 wholes. And then my fraction would be 1/3. Okay, so I want you to do 6, 7, and 8 for homework. Go down here. Again, you do not need to use the distributive property, but if you choose to use that, you may. Again, I would change these to improper fractions, the mixed numbers. So this is a mixed number, so I'm going to change it to improper times and plus. 5 times 4 is 20 plus 2 is 22 times, and then this is not in fraction format, so I could do 10 over 1, and then I can cross cancel. Here, a 5 can go into 10 2 times, and then this would be 1. So then do 22 times 2 would be 44 over 1, which is also known as just 44. Your homework is 10 and 11 and also 13. So now we're going to come down here. Jake can carry 6 1/4 pounds of wood in from the barn. His father can carry 1 5/7 times as much as Jake. How many pounds can Jake's father carry? So in order to do this, we would do 6 1/4 times 1 5/7. So again, changing them to improper fractions. 4 times 6 is 24 plus 1 is 25. Then 7 times 1 is 7 plus 5 is 12. Can anything cross cancel here? It sure can. 4 can go into 12 3 times. This would cancel to a 1. So now 25 times 3, you can think of it as 25 cents. 25 cents times 3 would be 75 over 1 times 7 is 7. So can I have that as an answer? I cannot. So how many 7s can go into 7? That is once. 1 times 7 is 7. Subtract, that'd be 0. Check it. We are good. Bring down a 5. Now, how many 7s can go into 5? That would be 0, and you must put up a 0 up there. 0 times 7 is 0 with 5 remaining, and there's nothing to bring down. So therefore, my mixed number out of this would have been 10 wholes and then 5 over 7. And this is pounds. Okay. Next page. On the next page, I am going to do number 1 with you. A vet weighs 2 puppies. The small puppy weighs 4.5 pounds. The large puppy weighs 4 2/3 times as much as that small puppy. How much does the large puppy weigh? All right, so the large puppy is 4 2/3 times as small as the small puppy. So the small puppy was 4.5 pounds. So in order to figure this out, I would have to times these. I should be changing these to improper fractions. So times and plus. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 2 is 14. And then over here, this would be 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. So then can anything cross cancel? Oh, yes. 3 can go into 9 3 times. That would cancel to be a 1. Then 2 can go into 14 7 times. So now you can just strictly go across. 7 times 3 is 21 over 1 times 1 is 1. And then how many ones go into 21? It would be 21. And then this is pounds. Okay, and then you will have 2 and 5 and 6 for homework. So this is what you will be doing for 7-9. All right. I will see you guys next time. Bye.